Hi, I'm Victoria and today I'm going to be showing you how to knit what I call the kiss stitch. To knit this stitch you're going to need some yarn, some needles, a cable needle or an alternative such as a locking stitch marker. I came up with this stitch when I was trying to do something else, but I thought it was so pretty like little kisses, so I used it to design a pair of mitts. These are called Keithley and will be released later this year. The stitch pattern repeats over 12 stitches and 10 rows. So I'm going to cast on 16 stitches, so I have a couple spare at each end for a garter stitch border. I'm going to work 4 rows of garter stitch to get started, plus 2 rows in stockinette, and the first 2 rows of the pattern, which are also plain stockinette stitch. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to refer back to the mitt to show which part of the pattern we're working. We're going to do one kiss motif and the plain space next to it that provides the offset. I find it helpful to think of the pattern in 2 blocks of 6 stitches, 1 motif, 1 stockinette. First we'll work the 2 garter stitches and then the motif block. Knit 1, slip 1 purlwise, knit 2, slip 1 purlwise, knit 1. Then we'll work the plain block. Knit 6. If you look at the row just worked, you can see that your 2 slip stitches are slightly longer than the other stitches around it. Turn over and work the garter border. The first block now is the plain block, so we purl 6. For the motif block, we purl 1, slip 1 purlwise, purl 2, slip 1 purlwise, purl 1. As you get to each slip stitch, you'll see the bar created by holding the yarn in the back as you slipped, which makes them easy to identify on the wrong side. The elongated stitches are clearly visible on the front of your work now. For the next row, we're going to need our cable needle or stitch marker. We start with the garter border, and then the motif block. First we knit 1. The first stitch is slip cable 1 left. Slip the slipped stitch onto the cable needle and hold it in front. Knit the next stitch. Slip the slipped stitch back onto your right needle. You can do what I do and put it on the left needle first and then slip it purlwise. Next we slip cable 1 right. It's the same idea but in the other direction. Slip the knitted stitch onto your needle or stitch marker, hold it in the back, slip the slipped stitch, slip the knitted stitch back onto your left needle and knit it. Knit 1 to finish the motif block and knit 6 to do the plain block. Garter border again. The next row is nice and simple. Purl all the stitches. The slip stitches are easily identifiable by that bar that we saw earlier. Okay, looking at the right side, we can see our slip stitches really clearly. They should be pointing towards each other at the top, like a little upside down V. On the next row, we're going to slip the same stitches again, but since we've cabled them, they're now the middle two stitches in the block. So we knit 2, slip 2, knit 2. And then for the stockinette block, we knit everything again. Okay. The next row is basically the same as the last row. So we're going to purl all the stitches in our stockinette block. Okay, and when we get to the motif block, we're going to purl 2, slip the 2 in the middle purlwise, and purl the 2 on the other side. And once again, you can see which stitches are slipped really easily by looking for those bars on the wrong side. And do the garter stitch border. There we go, okay. So now we're on to another cable row. We're going to need that again. Knit 2 for the garter border. Okay, so now we're going to cable each of those 2 slipped stitches out 1 stitch. So we knit the first stitch, the knitted stitch gets held to the back again, the slipped stitch gets slipped, and then the knitted stitch gets knit. Okay, so again, the slipped stitch gets held to the front, the knitted stitch gets knit, and the slipped stitch gets slipped. Knit 1 stitch to finish the motif block, and you can start to see already the kiss shape. Knit 6 for the stockinette, and knit 2 for the garter border. Okay, that's the hard work done. Knit 2 for the border, purl 6 for the stockinette block, and then we're going to purl all 6 stitches for the motif block as well. Now on this row, the cabled stitches that were slipped, they really want to sit close to the stitches they were cabled with, so just be careful you don't accidentally purl 2 together. And there you go. You can see on the mitt there's a couple of rows of stockinette between each of the motifs, just to make sure they're spaced out nice and neatly. So I'm just going to work those now. The whole pattern is officially worked over 10 rows. You can increase that if you want to by putting more stockinette stitches evenly between the motifs, or you could reduce it if you wanted to. I like it with 2 rows of stockinette between each motif, because then the corners of each of the kisses are on a diagonal with each other. So the way the fabric sits when it's finished, you get this nice sort of almost a quilted effect, or sort of tufted, you know, like those old Chesterfield sofas with the buttons. But you know, it's your knitting, you do what you want. There we go, now you can see it really clearly because you've got a bit of breathing room at the top. One nice neat kiss. Mwah. Okay, I hope that was helpful. You can find the chart and written instructions over on my blog, and if you have any questions, you know where to find me.